Sometimes the quietest people speak the loudest, not through noise, but through kindness, creativity, and love. Ion's silence wasn't empty. It was full of meaning, and in that meaning, the world found its color. This is the color of silence. A story. Ms. Rose looked at the paper, and then at Ion. She saw something in his eyes she'd never noticed before. Depth, kindness, courage. She held the drawing up for everyone to see. This, she said softly, is not just art. This is a message. The room went quiet. For once, Ion's silence filled the air, and everyone listened. From that day, something began to change. Students smiled when they passed Ion. Some even asked him to draw for them. He laughed, just a little, and it sounded like the first sound of spring after winter. Ms. Rose framed his drawing and pinned it on the classroom wall. Every morning, sunlight touched it before anything else, as if the world itself was proud of the boy who spoke through silence. Sometimes, the quietest people carry the loudest hearts. They don't shout. They don't demand attention. They simply create. Ion's silence wasn't empty. It was full of dreams. And in that silence, the world found its color. This is the color of silence. A story that reminds us, you don't need to speak loudly to be heard. You just need to be kind and true. Have you ever seen silence change someone's life? Silence, so quiet, yet so powerful. In a small school surrounded by fields and laughter, there sat one quiet boy, Ion. He didn't talk much. He didn't play much. But every day, he sat near the window, where sunlight fell gently across his notebook. While others talked, he listened. While others shouted, he dreamed. No one really noticed the quiet boy. But that was about to change. The morning bell rang. Desks creaked. Students hurried to their seats. Ms. Rose, the kind teacher with glasses and a warm smile, walked to the board and began to write. Today, she said, we'll talk about stories. Everyone cheered, except Ion. He smiled quietly, his pencil tapping the desk. He wanted to tell stories too, but words never came out right. So he stayed silent, letting the chalk on the board speak louder than his voice. The bell rang again, recess time. Children rushed outside like waves of joy. Laughter echoed across the playground. But Ion didn't run. He found his corner, an old wooden bench under a tree. He opened his notebook and began to draw. Lines turned into faces. Faces turned into emotions. He drew children smiling together. Some dark-skinned, some light, all happy. He didn't need words. His pencil spoke just fine. That afternoon, Ms. Rose gave the class a task. Draw your dream of a better world, she said. Excited voices filled the room. Pencils scratched, papers fluttered, crayons rolled across the floor. Ion began slowly, sketching the world as he wished it could be. A world where no one laughed at differences, where every child was equal under the same golden sun. When Ms. Rose picked up his drawing, the class fell silent. In that picture, Ion had drawn children of every color, holding hands, smiling. At the center, he wrote in neat handwriting, "The color of silence." Have you ever seen silence change someone's life? In a small school filled with chatter, laughter, and noise, there sat one quiet boy. His name was Ion. He rarely spoke, but his eyes carried stories that no one cared to hear. Until one ordinary day became the day silence found its color. Ion sat near the window, sunlight gently touching his face. His classmates laughed, whispered jokes, and shared crayons. But Ion just watched quietly. He understood everything the teacher said, but never raised his hand. Ms. Rose, his teacher, often wondered, why doesn't he speak? But silence isn't always empty. Sometimes silence is full of unspoken meaning. During recess, Ayan sat alone on a wooden bench, sketching quietly in his notebook. While others played football, he drew faces, smiling, dreaming, hoping. His drawings spoke louder than his voice ever could. But no one noticed. Not yet. One afternoon, during art class, the teacher said, "Draw your idea of a better world." Laughter filled the classroom. Pencils danced, crayons rolled, papers rustled. But Ayan's pencil moved slowly, calmly, with purpose. When the teacher collected everyone's drawings, Ayan's paper showed something simple, yet powerful. Children of every color, hand in hand, under the same sun. No hate, no borders, just togetherness. The class went silent. The quiet boy had finally spoken through color. Ms. Rose held the drawing and stared at it in awe. She looked at Ayan, and for the first time, she truly saw him. His art was his voice, and that voice was beautiful. That day, she pinned his drawing above the blackboard, where everyone could see it every morning. Days passed. Something in the class began to change. Students who once ignored Ayan began to greet him, ask about his drawings, and sit beside him during breaks. Ayan didn't just color paper. He colored hearts.